All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something you probably never ever thought you'd hear together. We're talking about what the super regulated, super serious pharmaceutical industry can learn about quality systems from a cartoon mouse. Yeah, I know, it sounds completely nuts, but trust me, you're going to want to hear this because the logic is, well, it's pretty much perfect.
So yeah, that's the big question, right? What in the world can a cartoon mouse teach us about making life-saving drugs? Well, it turns out that Mickey's simple, step-by-step way of solving problems, it's like a perfect masterclass in the kind of thinking that global health authorities are always looking for.
Okay, let's break this down. In Mickey's world, you know how it is, something always goes wrong. The bridge breaks, a balloon pops, or maybe Goofy just, well, he pushed the wrong button again. In the Pharma world, we have a fancy name for that, a deviation. But really, all it is a simple, clear statement that says, hey, things didn't go the way they were supposed to.
But what's really interesting is what Mickey doesn't do in that moment. First off, he doesn't panic. At all. He doesn't immediately point the finger and blame Goofy, even when, let's be honest, it was probably Goofy. And most importantly, he doesn't just jump to a random solution. That cool, calm, methodical response, that's the bedrock of any solid quality system.
And that brings us to our first section, actually defining the problem. Getting this part right from the get-go, it sets you up for success with the whole rest of the investigation. It's crucial.
So step one is all about problem identification. This means you got to state the facts. Just the facts. No emotion, no guesswork. You just need to say what went wrong, where it happened, and when. In the pharma world, we call this the official deviation description.
Think about Mickey's famous line, "Oh, Toodles, we've got a problem." It's perfect. He literally stops everything, calls out the issue, and just states it plainly. He's not trying to figure out why yet. He's just planting a flag and saying, okay, team, the normal process has stopped. We have an issue. And you can see the parallels so clearly here. Mickey says, the clubhouse store will not open. It's simple. It's factual. The Pharma version is just as direct. Tablet compression stopped due to an equipment alarm at 10:32 a.m. See? No assumptions, no blame, just here's what happened. All right, so once you know what happened, the very next question is, so what, right? This is what we call impact assessment. It's where you figure out just how big of a deal this problem really is. And Mickey's way of thinking about this is just brilliant. He asks a simple, mission-critical question. Can we still reach our destination? Wow, that immediately changes the focus from just the problem itself to its consequences. Is our main goal, or in our world, is the patient at risk?
And that, right there, is basically a risk assessment. When Mickey's worried about his destination, a pharma team is asking, did this affect the product's quality? Is patient safety at risk? It's the exact same logic, just with much, much higher stakes. Okay, so we've figured out the what, and we've looked at the so what. Now we get to the really juicy part, the investigation. This is where we start digging to find out why this thing happened in the first place. So, step 3, identify your resources. Look, a good investigation isn't about just randomly asking questions. No way. It starts with a plan. You got to get the right tools. We're talking equipment manuals, SOPs, and you absolutely have to get the right people in the room. You're experts from engineering, from QA, from the production floor. And listen to this. Here comes that catchphrase again, "Oh, Toodles." But think about what he's doing. He's not just crying for help. He's calling for his investigation kit. Toodles brings the tools, the methods, the whole shebang. For us in pharma, Toodles is our QA team, our engineers, our operators, and all those SOPs we rely on. And here's the lesson, right? Toodles brings specific Mouska tools for each job. Mickey isn't going to use a hammer to fix a leaky faucet and a broken computer. He picks the right tool for the job. And that's a huge lesson for us. Don't just pull out a fishbone diagram for every single problem. You wouldn't use that for something simple, just like you wouldn't use a simple 5 whys for a really deep, complex system failure. Use the right tool. And that leads us right into the real heart of the investigation. Step 4, root cause analysis, or RCA. This isn't about what you see on the surface. No, this is about finding that deep, hidden, underlying reason why it happened at all. And this might be the most important lesson of all. Mickey never says Goofy caused the problem. He just doesn't. Instead, he asks a system-level question. Why won't the door open? See that shift? That one little change in how you ask the question moves the whole investigation away from blaming someone to fixing something. And here's what that looks like in the real world. A bad RCA, a lazy one, just stops at operator mistake. That's a dead end. It goes nowhere. But a good RCA, a Mickey-style RCA, keeps digging. The operator made a mistake. Why? Well, because the sensor calibration was overdue, or because the SOP was super confusing. Now we're getting somewhere.
So here's the big takeaway from that. The true root cause of almost any problem. It's a failure in the system, not a failure of a person. A good system should make it really easy to do things right and really hard to do things wrong. Simple as that. Okay, so we've done the digging, we've found the real root cause. Now, finally, we can talk about fixing it. And I mean fixing it for good. And, just like Mickey shows us, any really effective solution has two parts.
So first up, you've got your corrective action. That's the quick fix, right? It's what you do to solve the problem that's staring you in the face right now. But then, and this is key, you have the preventive action. This is the long-term, systemic solution you put in place to make sure this exact problem never, ever happens again.
Let's look at it in action. The corrective action is Mickey fixing the door, or for us, recalibrating that sensor. It solves today's problem. But the preventative action, that's Mickey putting labels on the buttons so Goofy doesn't get confused again. Or for us, it's rewriting that unclear SOP. See the difference? One's a patch, the other is a permanent upgrade to your entire system.
All right, let's wrap this up. Let's bring it all together. What is the big takeaway from Mickey's masterclass in quality?
When you really boil it all down, Mickey's process is just solid. It's incredibly robust. He never skips steps, he never blames people, and he sure doesn't let the same mistake happen over and over. He always defines the problem, he finds the true root cause, and then he checks to make sure his fix actually worked.
And here's why all this really matters, beyond just being a fun analogy. This kind of structured, logical, system-first approach, this is exactly what regulators, the FDA, the EMA, you name it, what they want to see. They're looking for proof of structured thinking, of system-based root cause analysis, and a real commitment to continuous improvement. Mickey is basically running a perfectly compliant operation.
So, I'll leave you with this one last thought. Maybe the next time a deviation report lands on your desk, don't groan. Instead, think of it like a Mickey Mouse Clubhouse episode. It's a puzzle that needs solving. First, you understand the problem. Then you pick the right tools. Then you find that real deep down root cause, and then you fix it. And you make darn sure it never happens again.